This episode of Android Q&A is brought to you by Domain.com. So HTC has delivered its quarterly reports and it doesn't look pretty. But the CFO did promise that they have a new product in a new category. Is that hopeful or just double speak for we don't know what the to do? Real briefly, let's start with the numbers. The embattled Taiwanese company announced that it is back in the red with a net loss of 252 million US. HTC provided a couple of graphics that illustrate how deep the quagmire is. Consider that the Q2 2015 was the first full quarter of availability for the HTC One M9. It was the time for the M9 to show its mettle and really help HTC return to growth. Instead, the device actually held back HTC. And the reality is it's going to get worse before it gets better, if ever. HTC's CFO Chang outlined the three areas that the company will focus on over the next few months in order to return to profit. HTC intends serious cost-saving measures, which could mean people losing their jobs. HTC said they will also try and address premium segments, but not flagships. HTC called this a premium mid-range. That sounds like more Desire phones. And finally, HTC hopes to capitalize on new segments like VR, where it boasts it has a first mover advantage. But VR is still uncharted water, and we're skeptical it will provide HTC the deliverance that it needs. I feel a little bit like a broken record. Over the past 10 years, there has been a smartphone war, and the reality is, Apple won. It's over. They pwned everyone else. That's not opinion. That's just fact. Before you guys freak out and say I should be fired for saying something positive about Apple on an Android Authority show, but it's the truth. They have 92% of the market's profit. That doesn't mean 92% of the market share, don't get me wrong. It just means that they make gobs more money than any other manufacturer. Samsung is a distant second, and HTC and LG and Sony and all those other wonderful tech companies have a sliver of the pie on the best days. So, what is HTC supposed to do? Well, HTC's CFO said all the right things. He said they were going to cut costs, focus on their profitable devices, which are the Desire devices, and he was going to come up with a new product and a new product category. That's all the right things you want to say to your shareholders, investors. The question is, can HTC execute? Now, for those of you who've been watching for a long time, you know I'm really excited about new wearable categories, new categories of products that take advantage of the Internet of Things. But what do you think? What is a new product category that HTC can blow up? They don't have to be first, but they do have to be first in the mind. What gadget or solution or problem do you think HTC could solve? I'd be really interested to hear it in the comments below. Yes, I have been sending out t-shirts. See, people actually get them. And you have about 2 more days to come up with a domain name that has a .com, that is Android related, and somehow makes me laugh. Show us the power of a .com, please. Why? Because no domain name extension tells your story with the same level of trust as a .com or .net domain name. .com and .net domain name extensions inject credibility into your online presence. And who doesn't want more credibility? You can save 15% on domain name and web hostings when you use our coupon code ANDROID at domain.com checkout. Don't forget, 15% off when you use our coupon code ANDROID. When you think domain names, think domain.com. All right, guys, I gotta sort something out. Earlier in this week, I did a Best Android Smartphone 2015 edition, and a number of people in the comments felt that the 10th option, the ZTE Axon, was mentioned by me because it was a sponsored product. Whoa. Anytime a service or product is sponsored, I will say, this episode of Android Q&A is brought to you by Domain.com. That, every time. I would never suggest a product or service that was sponsored and not tell you that it was sponsored. That would be seriously unethical and is never going to happen. I think people have a hard time believing that ZTE could make a premium quality phone, and they hit it out of the park with this phone. Hopefully, they continue to do so. Don't forget about my brothers and sister in Android. We're working super hard to be your source for all things Android.